How's it going, guys? My name is Righteous Nikki and welcome to maybe another vlog video. No, I'm here to tell you a story, guys. A story that happened to me very recently. A bit of a maybe scary story. It really depends how you look it. It was a bit scary, I'll tell you that. So I decided to name this video "A Tragic Story of Being Righteous." I think it's a very nice title. Oh, there's Diana there. Um, she's cleaning herself, I guess. Don't take it dirty. So something very unusual happened to me recently, about a couple of days ago, and usually unusual things very rarely happen to me because, first of all, I'm a very calm person. I don't very rarely emotions get to me. I'm usually try to keep calm and stay away from maybe chaotic places or chaotic stuff happening. And even if chaotic stuff happens, I try to keep my cool as best as I can. Just put the camera a bit down. Yeah. Even getting a bit hot. Also, I'm a very closed person. Most of the time I spend at home, and usually there is no opportunities for me to experience crazy events because at home it's pretty calm, as you might think, and most of the time at home I play video games, so it's very rarely that something very exciting is going to happen to me. Exciting from the stereotypical meaning of the word, because stereotypically exciting things happen generally outside around people, and there's truth to that a bit. I won't lie, but yeah, I'm just telling you about the stereotypical way of seeing things here. So as a calm person and living in a calm surrounding, it's usually very rare for me for something unusual to happen. So I'm just going to start off with this. It's a very long introduction to a story that I haven't even started telling, but I don't know, I'm just a very self-explanatory person when it comes to real life. So this might annoy some people, but that's just how I am. So let us move to the story directly here. So as you might know, guys, I am a pizza maker from half a year in a restaurant, and I'm actually going to quit very soon. It's on the 20th of October. But let's move to the story. So we're actually two workers at the pizza shop at the moment, at the kitchen in the pizza. So it is me, and the second one is my boss, one of the bosses. He is like the main cook there, and we're two people. And when I started the job, we were four. So as you can see, a lot of people have left, and it's very hard for us to manage to keep all the days. Usually we work a lot more than we should, and that's really tiring for us. So we try to find other people that can come help us, because not everyone likes this job, not everyone likes it if he tries it, even if he knows how to work it. So very small amount of people actually manage to stay after the first day. So this new boy came to apply. We started working. Like, he came for his first working day, and it turned out he was a cook from a lot of years. He said to me that he was cooking from 6 years, so he was pretty experienced. He didn't lie about that, because I clearly saw it with my eyes that he definitely had skill in cooking. And considering I'm a cook, like, I'm a pizza maker, but I also cook some other stuff there. From 6 months, I can clearly see that this guy knows what he's doing, and he even does stuff better than me. So I can clearly see that he is a good worker. And even with the pizzas, my job was to tune him up to see if he is good enough to make the pizzas in a restaurant. And he is. His style of creating the pizzas isn't roughly 100% like ours, but that really doesn't matter. What matters is the end result, how the pizza works. And it's almost as the same as us. So what I'm trying to explain here is that the boy is a really good cook, and he's definitely up for the place for this job. So I really like him about that, because not many people have survived to work here, and he clearly has the motivation to do so. So this dude, like, we actually turns out we have a lot in common. We listen to similar music. I mostly like listening to metal and rap, though in my recent times I mostly don't listen to anything, or I listen to electronic music. So he listened that as well. We had so when we talked to each other, we had some very similar band liking, so that was pretty cool. It also turns out he was a gamer back in his teenage years, because he, I think he's 26 years old or something. So yeah, we had some pretty similar games that we played from back in the day. So that makes him even cooler for me, because having someone that is connected to me on the working place as a talk, like having a similar language barrier towards interests and how to communicate in the working environment is very important, and I felt very comfortable with this guy. So I was really happy that if he is going to stay, we're going to have a very nice solid worker for the future. So we were working for 12 hours that day, and we were talking, and that guy had one small, well, actually not small, one very big problem. And that problem was that that's how he told it to me. It's actually a bit hard to believe, but so he was working in our capital city until now, and he just came back several days earlier here in our city. So he's been working there for some years, and he comes back to our city, and he finds out that his mother has sold his apartment. Well, not his, but her apartment. But it's kind of their apartment, but her apartment, because it's hers, not his. He's just her child, and went out of the country to live there. So that really sucks. The first thing I thought, and the second thing I thought was that's very unlikely to happen, and it's not impossible to happen, because there are a lot of people in my country that are actually very self-egoistic, and I've seen people to be so low as people that they can actually do that kind of stuff to other people. So I thought that even a small chance like that, to something like this to happen to someone, I actually believed a bit that that guy may have actually experienced that event, that his mother sold his apartment. So he ended up not having anywhere else to live. So yeah, he told to me that he was waiting for a friend to accept him to see if he can go sleep to his friend, but it was uncertain. So me, as a very generous and kind soul, I offered him to come sleep in my house, because I was alone back then, and I really didn't see the problem, because we kind of had some similar interests, and why not? He seemed that he needed help, and it really didn't cost me anything to bring him to sleep here for one day. Now, I wasn't really sure if I was going to do that, because first of all, I know him from one day, man. Like, besides the fact that we bonded pretty nicely, he's a stranger to me. So I wasn't really sure what to answer him. Like, I told him that I could probably invite him, but I'm not really sure yet. So until we were talking, something very interesting came up. We had a connection of a colleague. So I had this window cleaner colleague. It seems that he knew him some years ago. Not very good, but he has seen him in another restaurant. And when he told me that, I called my colleague to ask him about the dude. So he told me that, well, he seemed like a good person to him, just as to me, and told me, like, But he was very honest to me. He told me that, Nikki, I cannot guarantee you anything. He also seems like a decent dude to me, but I haven't had the opportunity to maybe sit on the table, get some drinks with him, and get to know him properly to tell you if he really is who he really is. So it's really up to you, dude, if you want to invite him into your house, but I cannot guarantee you anything. So it was up to me, and I really just really wanted to help the dude out, and yeah, it was a bit risky to trust a stranger from day one, but I was mm, like, he seems like a solid guy. I don't see a problem for him to come sleep for one night, and I agreed. He came. Um, I actually even managed to play some games here. I showed him games like Overwatch. I showed him World of Warcraft. So we had a pretty nice time. I even let him play a bit. So yeah, I let him sleep in the other room, and we were supposed to go to work the next day. Now, being a careful person as I am, I actually, and considering the fact that I know him from one day, I actually decided to hide a knife in my bed just in case. Like he seems like a cool dude, but I don't know, man. Like, I usually trust people. What I have faith in people, but I just put like a knife in my bed for Plan B, just in case if I'm sleeping, if he decides to do something crazy, because I'm not really sure what could happen. Like, I'm inviting a stranger in my house to sleep, and I just put a knife in my bed just in case. Like, if something happened, I just put my hand in my bed, pull out a knife, and maybe try to defend myself if it's necessary. But it didn't came down to that. Nothing crazy like that happened. No, keep calm, guys. So we wake up the next day, and this is where the interesting part of the story happens. So I was actually pretty nervous to sleep this day. I went up in 2 o'clock in the morning. I mostly went to bed then because I was actually playing, but I usually actually go to bed then, and I went to bed. I woke up very early, 2 hours earlier than expected, because first of all I was nervous, and second of all my cat was jumping around because of a bird on the window, and I woke up at 7, so I had like 5 hours of sleep, so that was really cool. And the guy didn't wake up yet. He was pretty tired actually, because considering he just went from a 12-hour working day. It's pretty harsh. I would feel like shit as well. So he slept a really long time. I actually was the one I had to go wake him up, because we were going to need to go to work soon, and he didn't set up an alarm or something. So this is where the interesting part happens. So guys, I go wake him up, I'm like, dude, it's time to go up, go to work. And he was like, oh, I'm not feeling very good, man. And I'm like, oh, no. Like, I didn't say this to him, but really. And I was like, don't worry, dude. If you are feeling that bad, just keep work. It's like not that big of a deal. I can call my boss, tell him that you're not going to make it, and chill. And I also told him though, but because it just came to my mind, but that if he's sick, like, that means he's not going to go to work, and I'm going to work. And I was like, I understand that you're feeling bad, but I cannot let you stay here considering I'm going to work, because I cannot let you stay alone in my house, because that just cannot happen. And he was like, oh, no, dude, don't worry. I'll just stay here the entire day, get some rest, and just close the door. You don't have to worry about a thing. Just leave me to rest here, and yeah, go to work. And at that moment, I was just thinking in my mind, like, is that guy serious? like, like, he cannot expect from me after I've let him to sleep one day, and I've been very kind to him. I even bought him cigarettes, bought him some food, because he seemed to had some pretty harsh time when he came back here. But and by the way, he wasn't lying of that he was feeling bad, because I clearly saw it in his eyes that he wasn't feeling very good. Like maybe he kind of overtuned it a bit to look worse, but he definitely didn't seem on 100%. So, thinking to myself, like, what I'm going to do now? Like, he just told me that he wants to rest here, but I just thought, like, he answered to me after I told him that he cannot stay. So, uh, the only thing left for me is to either let him stay or do something drastic to make him leave the house. So I decided to think my options very thoroughly before making a decision. We had like 2 hours left before going to work. But what we did is actually I called my boss to tell her that the dude isn't going to come to work today, and I dialed my boss. Actually, I have two bosses. One is male, the other is a female. So I dial up my female boss, and I'm like, yeah, this dude is feeling very sick. He's not going to be able to make it on to work today, and he kinda isn't going to leave the house as well. Like I just throw it up there. He wasn't near me, so he couldn't hear that. And she was like, "Oh, is he feeling alright? Does he need a doctor or something?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You should ask him." And she was also like, "He doesn't want to live. That sounds very strange to me. Let me talk to him." And I was like, "Yeah, it really sounds very strange to me, boss, that he wants to stay the entire day here to rest." So I give the phone to him because he didn't also had a phone. I gave him my phone to him so they can talk, and they were talking a bit, and she probably asked him for the doctor, and he was like, "No, I am feeling bad, but not so much for a doctor. I just really need some rest here." And my female boss is like, and my female boss didn't know what else to say. I think they ended the conversation there. I took my phone back. I went back to playing games until I figured out how to dispose of him. Until I figured out what to do, and I was just waiting. My female boss, dialed up again. She was like, "I can call my husband and for him to actually bring him to a doctor, because this really doesn't sound very good to me." And as well as she also told me that if he declines again, I'm going to take his name and ID to check him up, because this whole story sounds very fishy to me. So I gave the dude the phone for them to talk again with the boss. She called him. She said, like, "My husband is going to come, like, direct you to a doctor, going to give you a ride to a doctor, just in case, like, it's not going to cost you anything. We're going to pay for everything." And the dude is like, "No, it really doesn't need to happen." So the boss, my female boss, had enough, and she just asked for his name and ID for working papers for getting applied to the position. Like, they're actually they're actually real papers, but what I'm trying to do with those fingers is that she isn't going to use that information about that. Now, here comes the trump card of the whole story. Now, the husband of my female boss is a policeman, so she was going to use that information to check this dude out, to see if he had some, like, if he did something bad in his lifetime. And she just took the information. I just took my phone back, and nothing really followed up for 30 minutes or so. The time was getting closer for me to go to work. Still, I was just keeping calm, playing games. I was getting closer to the decision to just pull up my knife and threaten him to leave the house, but I was just waiting a bit till the time came, and out of nowhere, I just get a call from an unknown number. I pick up the phone and I'm like, "Hello?" Like, usually people from unknown numbers don't call me, and a male voice started talking to me. He told me he was the husband of the female boss, and he just very calmly tells me, "Nikki, keep calm. Go, leave the house and open us the door. I'm actually living in the block." He told me to go down the elevator, open the door for him, and told me to keep calm. And I was like, "What? What the fuck is happening here, guys?" And he told me, "Keep calm. This guy isn't fully what he is. Like, he isn't telling you everything, and I'm going to explain you everything once you open us the door." And I was like, "Sure, mate, no problem." Closed the phone. I kind of sneaked through my door. The guy was still sleeping in the other room, acting like he was feeling bad. I went down the stairs, the elevator, opened the door. I see the husband of my female boss and my male boss. Both of them are coming towards me. And he told me that this dude was a thief. He was a burglar. What do you know? He had some acts, like, I don't know how it's called, police acts of burglary, around 2 or 3. One of them was a home burglary. I cannot even spell it right. And I felt pretty bad. Not as bad as not bad because I thought that he might have stolen something, because let me tell you guys, I usually live in a very big mess. My home is a very big mess. You don't see that in the videos, but everything around me is big mess. And when he actually came to me, it was pretty dirty as well. Also, I gave him the impression that I don't really live a very expensive life, and that's actually true, because most of the time I feed myself with bread and cheese. I go to work every day with the same, like, shitty shoes that I almost never clean, and I just give the impression of a bit of a homeless guy as well. So I really didn't give him any impression that I had anything to steal from me. Besides my computer, like, this is very important for me. If he steals my computer, I have invested a lot of money in this baby here. I'm going to, like, not being able to do anything with my videos for several years probably, because my computer costs shit ton of money. And also I have some money saved around here somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where. But it's possible that he could have stolen that too. But in the room where he was, there was almost nothing valuable. Like, there are some cables, there are some clothes, but really I wouldn't care if he stole that. And I'm pretty sure he didn't steal anything, because I was very good to him. Like, I gave him a lot of free things just on my expense, because I just felt like he needed them, and I really didn't feel like it's going to be a problem for me to help him out. So the policeman, we were talking outside, and he tells me that he's a thief, and he is going to tell him, and he proceeds telling me what are we going to do. He tells me, "Nikki, now we're going to go upstairs, going to pay a visit to our little friend, and we're going to make him go out." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, so just don't use any force, please. Just talk to him. Like, he isn't that bad of a guy. Like, I guess he's a thief, but maybe that was a long time ago. Like, I really didn't like that he's in my house. I definitely did want them to make him go out, but just told them to keep their cool. Like, just talk, just for them to talk him over, to live peacefully without any conflict." So they agreed. They came up to here, the policeman and the male boss, and we entered in his room. Actually, stayed outside, so the male boss, just the policeman entered the room. He just sits next to him, and he's like, "Dude, are you feeling okay? Do you need to visit a doctor or something? Because my wife told me that you're feeling pretty bad." And the dude has no idea what's happening. Like, he's like very surprised and shocked, and he was also keeping calm, I guess. He was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I didn't show up to work one day, and now you're coming here to tell me to go back to work by a doctor or something? So the policeman was like, don't you feel a bit uncomfortable to stay in another man's house when he is not in the house? And we was like, yeah, I think it's a bit the dude was like, yeah, I think it's a bit uncomfortable. So but he didn't seem to catch up what's happening, so the policeman just closed the door, left us outside, and we were just working each other with the male boss, and we were just listening. It was a bit blurry to the ear, but what I caught up was that the policeman just told him his steroids, and he told him that it's a good idea for him to leave the house at once. So the dude, like, I don't know, he was a bit egoistic with his behavior, but we kind of managed to make him go out with words. And the really funny part, a really funny part here, guys. We were waiting for him to leave the house. He got his jacket, and we were looking at him, the policeman, asking him, "Did you get all your baggages?" And the dude is like, "Wait, I'm not coming back here again?" and we're just like, and we were just like looking at each other, as like looking between between us, like the policeman, the male boss, and me, and like thinking to ourselves, is this guy for real? And the policeman told him, what do you think? Are you coming back here? Like, like, I don't believe this guy, man. So he left. And that's basically the story. We then proceed to consider if we should fire him, and it came that to the decision that we fired him. I actually voted for him to stay to work because he was actually a pretty good cook, and considering that he's in a very bad spot at the moment, I don't see why he shouldn't be able to have a job and earn some money to maybe find a place to sleep or something. But the bosses didn't really like the idea because they don't want to have a thief in the kitchen, because he can steal like very minor things that can fuck up their business a bit by bit. Even he could just steal a phone, a lot of the bosses just toss their phones around the working place. If there's a lot of if there's a lot of work, so if they're not concentrated, he can just steal their phones, like nothing happens. So they decided it's the best idea to not have him in the kitchen. So that's that. And they felt a bit sorry for him, just as me. They maybe decided to find him a place to sleep. They paid him for the day he worked. And yeah, that's basically the story. So one interesting thing that we found out later, the policeman did a bigger research on him. He tried to see he did a research on his relatives, and it turns out his mother actually came back to the country several months ago, and he has a sister and a grandmother living in the city. So either he lied very heavily on that, which was pretty unlikely actually. I didn't surprise that that was a lie, but the other option would be that his relatives are so fed up with him and with him in general that they just don't want him anywhere near them. That bad he must be for that to happen. So yeah, what was the righteous thing to do here? Should I have decided to not accept him in my home? Like, it was a bit naive from me, I will tell you that, but like, this could happen to anyone, man. Imagine if someday, well, maybe not your mother saw the apartment, but someday you just come back from a vacation and maybe your apartment got burned down, or any other disaster happened, and you're just forced to end up living on the street for some reason. And um the one thing that the most logical thing that came up to our mind was that even if that would happen, there were probably some relatives or friends that you might know that could help you out in such a situation, and he clearly didn't seem to have that option. So I don't know, maybe I was a bit naive to let him out, to let him in sleep, but I don't know, I just think I did a good thing by helping him. But after I understood that he was a thief, I felt a bit bad about myself, that I was a bit naive, not about him. Like, I didn't care if he was a thief, if he didn't steal anything. I'm pretty sure he didn't steal anything from my house. And yeah, what was the righteous thing here to do? I think that was a very good story that shouldn't happen to anyone. That explains what righteousness is. I was actually planning to do a video explaining righteousness as how I see it, why I'm righteous, Nikki, like why I use the word righteous. And I was planning to do it with video games, but considering this happened to me, I thought this was a good moment, a good side of righteousness to be explained. Like, what was the righteous thing to do? To let the guy roam around and try to find someone else in the night to sleep, or just accepting when I have the opportunity? And yeah, I might have paid the price if my boss didn't got worried about me, if her husband wasn't a policeman. I might have needed to take more direct action and threaten him. I don't know what of outcomes could have happened, but I think that was the most fortunate outcome that happened to me, and I'm going to take that as a lesson to be a bit more careful about strangers, definitely. And I'm probably not going to be inviting anyone else in the following years, I hope, or at all. But yeah, it really depends. Still depends on the person that is in need. I generally try to help the people that are in need and feel like good people. Like, if I feel like someone is a shitty person, I would consider helping him. But if I see that the person is like not a bad person and just having a rough time, I really try to help people like that. But yeah, there's going to be enough chitter chatting from me, guys. I was hoping that this was going to be a 10-minute story, but yeah, it turned out a bit longer. So this is going to be everything from me from today, guys. So thank you for watching, and until next time, stay righteous.